Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Browns post-game show with the final score. It doesn't matter. The game was fixed, okay? And I don't want to. The last play of the game was pass interference. Well, I mean, they tackled Njoku from behind. And that's why I'm late getting on the air, folks, because I watched it over and over again in slow motion. And you're wrong about something, Tony.
Somebody's got double volume.
Somebody's got, yeah.
I have the stream going so I can view the chat.
I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to yell because the league is a gambling league. It is all about the league. It cheats. It likes organizations that are from bigger cities. And this game was just flat out fixed. I mean, you cannot call pass interference. They go for it on fourth down, heave the ball down the field. Their guy grabs our guy's uniform, and we get the call against us. And then in order to get them the next one on another third or fourth down, they throw a flag for holding against us before the pass was even thrown so that they would make sure that the Chargers got first down. It's a shame that it really are two really good football teams that the game can't be, concluded honestly, and it can't be competed with as far as competitively between two teams without one team being given a blatant advantage in the second half of the football game. I will continue to hammer about this because it ruins the game for me. It ruins the season for me because I know we're never going to get the respect to get a call when we need it. Even if we're not looking for a call, for God's sakes, we're just looking to get the ball back when they failed on fourth down.
And it's multiple times. That's the biggest problem here. It's not one call. It's not two calls. There was multiple calls in this game that were game-changing calls that were either not called or they were called, and all of them hurt the Browns. All of them.
Yeah, I mean, this game was fixed. And I'm just not making an excuse because I give both teams credit for being wonderful football teams and exciting, exciting game to watch that was one-sided in the way that it was officiated. And, I've just seen it for so many decades. You got to remember, I've been doing this for a long time. But long before that, I watched every Browns game since 1966, for God's sakes. I know, and I have seen these periods of time, which is infinity, that the Browns, the shit piss hole city of Cleveland, get shit on by the Los Angeles team, who's not even a fucking Los Angeles team. So I've seen it. And I've seen it again. And to continue to complain about it makes no sense. Let me say something that I can complain about that is more constructive rather than emotional. When you're ahead 42-41 because they shank the extra point and it's 3rd and 10 and you hand the ball off up the middle, you got no fucking balls. And this, in the end, is what will Marty ball us to death with Kevin Stefanski. It is his Achilles heel. How you could not let Baker Mayfield, who had played so wonderfully and heroically in this game, on a 3rd and 10 to keep the ball with a 1-point lead, not to even give him a chance to throw the football.
What about a screen pass to fucking Kareem Hunt, who just ran over the fucking defense to score a touchdown?
It seems almost as if Stefanski...
And we're still pissed off about getting poked in the eye.
Yeah, Stefanski, he lacks the faith. In the end, he lacked faith in his offense, which is Staley is a better coach.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just going to tell you that you got to have balls to win at this level. If you want the ultimate prize, you got to have balls. You know what it's like? It's like if you're a tennis player and you're playing in Wimbledon or you're playing at the French Open, at the US Open, or the Australian, one of the majors, and you have a match point, but you fault on the first serve, Rather than just hitting a bouncing, high bouncing, easy second serve, you blast one down the middle to win the goddamn match. Testicles. Stefanski's got raisin balls. That's the problem. The problem, and I'm done and past the officiating because I have to be critical about what we do and what we don't do. Not to give Baker Mayfield a chance, just to run a handoff up the middle to Kareem Hunt. Not only makes no sense whatsoever, it's surrender. Yeah. If I were a player on this team, I would feel like the coach gave up on me. And if I were a Charger, I'd have my chest puffed out because the league loves us. They give us every call. And we have a coach who has faith in us and lets us go for it.
That guy's got stones, man. Going for it on 4th and 8 on your own 20.
And I'll tell you what else it is. If you want Herbert to be a great quarterback, then this is how players become great. I mean, the 1 4th down play that he threw to the sideline to Jared Allen was the most beautifully thrown ball in a clutch pressure situation. And I'm going to say something now. Now, injuries and all kinds of things can change the landscape. Herbert is the best young quarterback I've seen since Tom Brady. Period. He's better than anyone else we faced. He's better than Mahomes because he's only in his 2nd year. And look what he's doing. And he's doing it without having an offensive line that is as prolific as other teams have. And he's just the most fantastic quarterback I've seen come into the league for decades, literally decades.
And the thing about Herbert is not only is he hit his guys when he needs to, but he knows when he can't force stuff. And that's what you saw today. He takes off and runs. And then
he can use his legs, right? That's exactly right.
He's like almost, and I said this in the, I don't want to say pregame show, but the Friday show previewing this game. He's a lot like Burrow in that sense, but he's better. He's better at it because he's smarter at it. He knows when he needs to take risks and he knows when he doesn't need to take risks.
Yeah, and I'm all about giving credit to good players. And it's not Justin Herbert's fault that the referees fixed the game. He did everything he needed to do to win the game, and I give him full credit for it. But I will say something else on the other hand. The San Diego Chargers, and that's what they are, they call themselves Los Angeles, but that's just all about money. The Los Angeles Chargers beat a depleted Browns team who were without Denzel Ward in their secondary. Greedy Williams lost feeling in his right arm, and I know he was going like this. That's nerve damage in his right arm. I think that his career might be over. He gutted it out and did as much as he could for as long as he could. We went at it without our left tackle, without our right tackle in the game, and still moved the ball down the field and took the lead with Blake Hance and James Hudson.
And there was a play where Blake Hance, I don't know if it was Joey Bosa for sure, I'd have to double check, but he absolutely bodied whoever was coming off of him on one play. And it was a critical down too. He needed protection and he just dominated him, pancaked. And another thing, you got to give credit to AJ Green because yes, he gave up a couple plays, but I thought he did a really good job for a guy who was an undrafted free agent who comes into the Browns out of Oklahoma State, was on the practice squad his first year. They bring him up this season on the regular 53. And for him stepping into a bigger role, it wasn't perfect, but I thought he did a really, really good job for the role they gave him.
Yeah, and, again, now Captain Shadow, this is, it was not winnable. This game was not winnable. We had a lack of players. We've got tons of injuries, and we had an officiating crew who literally on the field gave them every call, including the 2-point conversion, which the guy clearly didn't get in. They would have tried to sneak that by if they could, if it wasn't for a league rule.
Since when can you choke your center? Your opposing team's center just blatantly choked him the whole way.
And he gets the call. and
Yep,
he gets the
exactly.
call. And I got another one for you. I mean, I can name these, because they're etched in my mind. How in the hell can a guy who catches a pass taunt Greedy Williams, and Greedy Williams just cocks his head and says something, and it's like, well, it's offsetting penalties. What happened to the taunting call? That's a 15-yard call against the receiver for the Chargers, period, because he held the ball out and he taunted with it. But it didn't matter, because in the end, when all's said and done, they were supposed to win. The league wanted them to win.
Definitely.
And the worst part of this is that the team with true character loses the football game and loses its soul and its spirit, and that's what the league wants. They want shit for Cleveland. That's what they want. And this is not, they don't want a city the size of Cleveland to be an elite football team. They can win some games, but when it comes push to shove, you just saw what's going to happen. To me, the rest of the season doesn't matter because I've already seen this spelled out for me. This is the end of the season for me. Not because it's the end of the Brown season, but for me personally. We're never going to win a Super Bowl. Not now, not ever. It's never going to happen.
It's what the league's going to let the Browns be. They've let the Browns be a playoff team. They've let them hang in games. But when it comes to push and shove against a team like the Chargers with a hot young quarterback, and it's not Herbert's fault, like you said.
No,
it's not
not
him
at all.
deciding this stuff. But the NFL has said, hey, you know what? Guess who else is in that division? Patrick Mahomes. So we can go with the story of Justin Herbert, the young hot start in his second year against Patrick Mahomes, and this will be what they talk about now for years to come. And these are the games that start that. They let the Chargers win these big games, 42-47, whatever it was, and this builds on the narrative. This is what they do. This is what they always do. Look at these young quarterbacks. Yeah, look at these young quarterbacks. You see it across the league every single year. And
they'll find a way to blame Baker Mayfield, too. Baker came up short again. You see, the narrative is the narrative, and the league runs with it. Look at that. Ward, Wills, Conklin. I mean, yeah, we didn't have our players in the game. And the other guys were playing injured. I mean, Malik McDowell was coming in and out of the game hurt. Greedy Williams had no feeling in his right arm by the end of the game. What more could you give but your heart, your soul, and your blood, and a limb of your body? What else could you give? That's it.
And it was so bad that even Colin Cowherd on Twitter was saying that officials should be fired because of this game. So that's how you know when there's something going on.
And again, and Clowney and Myles Garrett hurt and clearly, and suffering. They didn't beat the full Cleveland Browns. They were gifted a win over a depleted Cleveland Browns football team.
It was like a COVID team out there. It was that bad. It was like when we had no receivers, I mean, it was like the Jets game last year. We couldn't win it.
Yeah, and I don't know which call, the holding call. I don't know what you're referring to. There were so many bad calls that all went against us in the game. The worst call was against Sean Hill on when we would have gotten the ball back in their side of the field with a lead.
And that was his fault because he could have caught the ball if he would have quit holding. He would have had two hands right there.
The whole thing was just. And if you watch the last play, I urge you, watch the last play. They tripped Njoku so he could not go up for the ball.
Oh, and the incomplete pass against Allen should have been upheld as a fumble.
Yeah, it goes.
And that would have been the second forced fumble by Greedy Williams.
It just goes on and on. I mean, when you have a last-ditch pass like that and you've got three men in the end zone and the guy who's the tallest one is being dragged down from behind. And
tripping the other two.
and it's like the network's like, no, they didn't get it. They didn't get it, and it's not even mentioned. And Baker, did you see Baker?
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? There's no way you're ever going to win, Baker. Get out of Cleveland. Do what LeBron did. Get out of Cleveland. If you want to win, go to a team that is hyped and pimped. It's the only way. And I hate to say it, and I hate to sound like a bitter fan who's full of excuses, and you know that I am very critical of the Browns when they do stupid things. And I'm telling you that somebody should call Stefanski on why he ran the ball on 3rd and 10 when he had an opportunity with the ball in his hands to control the destiny of the game. Why he did that. And
the entire second half, I thought, was horrible play calling offensively.
And well, I mean, they scored points. I mean, the fact is, they scored plenty enough points to win the game. I just don't understand in the last possession, why in the hell you just quit? You just say, "I'm happy running it up the middle."
Don't know what the final yardage was, but we might have out yarded them. We had over 500 yards for sure.
Well, I mean,
Somebody's
again,
got a TV on.
penalty. Yeah, somebody turn down their sound, please, or else I'm going to have to start muting microphones.
I think it's on.
It's Brian, so I muted the mic until he gets the sound off because we can't be competing with. Yeah, he obviously is going to keep it on, so he'll stay off. Yeah, Bronk.
I'm like in shock, because it could have been an all-time classic football game, regardless of who won it. But the referees didn't allow it to play out to its natural conclusion. And the fact that we had 7 prime guys, hurt or invisible, by the end of that game, what sort of team are we going to be able to field against the Arizona Cardinals next week?
Nothing. I mean,
God only knows.
In the end, it doesn't matter. Because
I know.
even an underpowered team with all the will and courage in the world is discouraged by the league because they weren't going to let that be the narrative. They weren't going to let that happen.
And the same thing with Herbert next week. You have another hot young quarterback who they're going to try to pop up and make him seem like he's the greatest thing ever. And Kyler Murray, they're already been talking about, is he an MVP candidate? Same thing they said with Herbert. Get ready for it next week. And it's in Arizona, right?
No, it's in Cleveland. It doesn't matter where it is.
Well,
It doesn't matter where it is. It's the same thing no matter where it is. And the other thing I'll say is that when you get the ball back, and God bless the Cleveland defense for dragging the guy into the end zone to give us the ball back, but why in the hell would you throw a bunch of 3 and 5 yard dink and dunk passes?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, this whole thing to me, it's like flinching at the critical moment, and Kevin Stefanski just
if you want to carry on the conspiracy,
courage.
Carry on the conspiracy further and say Stefanski was in on it with those horrible play calls.
I don't understand. I mean, it took him 50 seconds to get 12 yards and put them nowhere. I mean, why would you do that?
Yeah, even Trent Green pointed that out,
Yeah. I mean, just crazy stuff. Just literally crazy stuff. And that's why, in the end, it's easy to talk about the officials. And, I feel for the players. I really do.
Thanks, man.
I think that they showed tremendous resilience and courage. And they were cheated out of the game by the officials. And their own head coach sabotaged them at the end of the game.
Wow. And the people who are upset about pushing Austin Eckler into the end zone, I've seen some of that on Twitter. If you think that was
hilarious.
If you think that's the wrong thing, that you're an idiot. Because if you think that this offense, and they took forever to get where they got downfield, I think we got to like the 40 or whatever. It took them that long to get there. What do you think would happen if they got the ball back with 20 seconds left or 30 seconds left? Because Eckler just kind of stops there, and then there's
they would never have scored. They would never have.
But the other thing is, Eckler was smart on the play before by sliding down on the 2-yard line, and nobody's saying he was an idiot. He was an idiot for not scoring. But the narrative always goes against the Browns. That was the smartest play they could have made, and then it's like, the coach comes out and says, okay, check down. It's like, and either that or just throw 40-yard bombs.
Anybody with common sense knows in that situation, you got to run a ton of out route screens, stuff that you can either get out of bounds or you can get good enough yardage and then you can feel good about spiking it. Instead of every play was over the middle.
Well, I don't mind if the play's over the middle 20, 25 yards down the field. That's one thing, but you throw it 3 yards down the field. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. You ran the clock out on yourself.
And it's not like when they did check down, it was somebody in a position to gain yards and get out of bounds. That's one thing. It's another thing. And Baker was trying to throw it to Kareem Hunt. I think it was a third down where he had like 3 guys right in front of him. What are you doing? If he does catch it, there's more time off the clock. It just makes no sense. I don't know why, from a game management standpoint, which everybody says, oh, Baker's just a game manager. Well, if that's the case, then he was a horrible game manager in that.
Yeah, I think that when the coach has an iron fist and calls all the plays and the quarterback can't audibilize out of it, this is what you get. And I hate to say it, Cleveland, but this is what you get with Kevin Stefanski. It will always be what you get. He's going to be no different than Marty Schottenheimer. If he honestly believed that giving the ball back to San Diego, and they're not the LA Chargers, they're San Diego. All right? It's only money that put them into Los Angeles. The Raiders have been in Oakland. The Raiders have been in Los Angeles. The Rams have been in Los Angeles. Everybody ends up in Los Angeles. That is like the final way station. But you look at what happens at the end of the football game, and it's like, you honestly believed that if you punted the ball and let Lefty Shank punter, who he's become, kick his little dinky 40-yard punt, and they just field the ball and run it 9 yards down the field, and they have the ball at midfield. Could he have possibly believed that based on all the calls the Chargers were getting and the fact that his defense was depleted in the secondary, did he actually think they had a chance to hold them? That's what scares me about Kevin Stefanski, because that's not even logical thinking. You have the ball in your hands. You have to end the game that way because they've already put up that many fucking points on you. For God's sakes, they put 41 up, and what was going to stop them from putting 47 up on you? Nothing. And if you couldn't stop them, the referees wouldn't let you, even if you could. At 3rd and 10, you have to throw the ball.
Brown's gratification has the Stefanski post-game quote of he made the decision to run because he didn't want anything bad to happen because they were playing backup offensive tackles, which that's terrifying. If you don't trust your guys to make a play,
there you have it.
And it's not like this is the Baker you saw of last week. It's one thing to say, oh, he's been playing terrible the whole game, whatever. You're going to put it in one of your playmakers' hands. No, Baker was hitting guys left and right. He was being efficient with the football. Why don't you trust him when he's proven that you can trust him, at least in this game?
Yeah, go ahead, Bronk.
We even could have done, we could have had one of those OBJ reverses where he passes the ball downfield. We could have tried a trick play. We could have tried literally anything. Would have been better than one.
But it says it all. I was afraid something would go wrong. You'll never cross the street for the rest of your life. You won't go to the grocery store because of COVID, so you'll starve to death. So you'll have no food. If we were to take everything in the world that carries risk and eliminate it, that's what we get. A handoff up the middle for 3 yards to Kareem Hunt with a defense that couldn't stop the other team and referees who wouldn't let it happen when we did. That's what and the second I see a coach say that I was afraid that something bad was going to happen, I would terminate him. I would terminate him. Bye-bye. And I don't care if he's a young mind, who's a good, bright young mind. Bye-bye. Because you're asking players to risk life and limb. The risk in the game is that these players will be crippled and on average dead by the time they're 57. Do you understand? Earth to football fans. Cow to football fans. The risk is not Kevin Stefanski. He's going to get his paycheck. The risk is Greedy Williams losing permanent use of his right arm. The risk is Myles Garrett staying in games, or Jedrick Wills being carted off the field week after week and probably not being able to walk normally by the time he's 35. That's what the risk is. And you're willing to take those risks with those people's lives and limbs. Yeah. But you're telling me that you're not going to pass on 3rd and 10 because you were afraid something bad might happen.
This was after the biggest gift of all time, where the kicker's extra point looked like it got sucked to the left by a vacuum. That was.
If you didn't believe that fate might be on your side after all, I mean, how could you not go for that? How could you not throw the ball on 3rd and 10? And the fact is, it will forever taint this coach in my mind.
How the hell are you not running it? Was it Chubb that got the run on 1st down, or was it Hunt?
I don't even know. I mean, look, the fact is that we kept scoring and getting ahead of them, and all of a sudden, Stefanski believes that for whatever reason, things were going to suddenly go bad if he tried to throw it on 3rd and 10 with the replacement tackles in the game. That's why we have a playbook. That's why we have an offensive scheme. So in the event that you have a play that really gives you a chance to get 10 yards. And I'll go one step further. If you got 8 yards, you go for it on 4th, just like they do, because they got fucking testicles the size of grapefruits. You see, if you're thinking about winning, you're not thinking about what could go wrong. You're thinking about what can go right. So even if you got 8 on a 3rd down crossing pattern, you had 2 yards on 4th down, you go for it. They did on their own 20 earlier in the game. You just don't have courage. You don't have faith. You don't have conviction in what you are. You're the play caller. You create the playbook. You call all of the plays and tell the players to execute them. And in the end, you execute them. It's really just, it's sad. And I guess in the end, it shouldn't have come to us being in that situation at the end of the game. We should have had the ball back with about 6 minutes left to go in the game, back on their 42-yard line, and we would have been moving the ball down the field. I don't know what bad things Kevin Stefanski dreams of, but to me, the worst thing, if you've ever seen the movie A Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino, there is nothing worse than an amputated spirit. That is what I saw today. Every one of those players who was being asked, go in there, play a few more downs for us. We need more snaps from you. I know you're hurting.
And the defense had to be so tired because of all of them 4th downs and all them conversions. So on top of the injuries, you got guys playing who probably shouldn't be, and you have guys hurt when they're converting, and they're winded and they're hurt, and they just
I'm shocked.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm shocked the play calling was balanced, especially when the run, they couldn't have stopped the run if it was one of us running the running back.
Well, one of our DBs is talking on the radio. Yeah.
Chubb had 161 yards. And Hunt had 61.
They tested Baker early to see what he was going to be capable of, and he was hitting guys. So I'm surprised we didn't run a little bit more, but I do
Njoku
understand.
had 7 for $150.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you ask for these players but the production they gave you? I mean, and in the end, it took the healthy Chargers and the officials and the league to defeat this ragamuffin bunch of replacement players on the Brown side. That's the truth. And I agree. Fuck the defeatist attitude, because right now, and you know what I was going to say win or lose or draw, I always say I just want my team to play a good game. I thought the Browns played a great game. I think the Browns deserve to win. I think they're a courageous team, and I'm proud of the players. I'm very ashamed of the head coach when push came to shove. But what I was gonna say is I watch other games, and all of these missed kicks.
Nice percent of them.
I mean, it's getting crazy, and you wonder why the guy missed the extra point. Well, he never gets a chance to kick because they go for it on fourth down every time. He's expendable. The Chargers don't believe in kicking field goals. They don't. They don't even believe in punting. So the guy comes out in the field and he shanks a couple of extra points, and you're going to get down and you're going to hate on him. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. If the coach doesn't have any faith in the kicker, then he will miss them. And the reason I bring this up is the Cincinnati Bengals could become a very, very good football team. But it's got to be without Zach Taylor because he's got no balls too. And again, when you watched that game with the Packers and you watched the usually reliable Crosby look more like old comedian Norm Crosby.
Like Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby is like wide left, Oh wait, I could do that like this.
Down the middle.
Yeah, it went not down the middle. Yeah, I mean, but the Bengals kept giving him the ball back, and he did the same thing Stefanski did. When they were in a position to get a first down, he ran the ball on a deep handoff and tried a 57-yard field goal. Now, you have a chance to beat Aaron fucking Rodgers. You have a chance to beat the Packers. You could be 4-1 and in first place. And Zach Taylor, he coached them to their second defeat.
And
By
then
the way, remember
celebrating.
you all gave me flack about saying that game was a coin toss?
Hey, I didn't. I was.
Yeah,
right
and I
with you,
said the
Brad.
Eagles. I said the Eagles would beat the Panthers. So
Well, I mean, we're not going to take dibs on this. I mean, we all picked the game to be very close. I don't think anybody was calling anything a one-sided win.
No, he's talking about Packers and the Bengals. Brian and I were.
Well,
Yeah, we're not talking.
I'm sorry. I mean, with that game, you saw the Bengals didn't want to win. I don't know how many times you could be handed something, and the same thing is true for the Packers. They're not very good.
Correct.
They're just not that good. And Aaron Rodgers or no Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter. Neither team, and one team. And it's funny, I saw a little headline, the thing that scrolls to the bottom of the screen, and it says, Crosby hits game-winning field goal for Packers. And it's like, if you hadn't watched the game, you thought he was a fucking hero.
Correct. He left about 15 points on the field.
And my God, he looked like he's a kicker with Parkinson's disease. And
he didn't celebrate after missing.
Wide left. Everything was wide left. It was really weird. So, but what I'm really pointing out is that Zach Taylor, and I've watched him coach, he has no stones, and neither does Kevin Stefanski. And you want to know the truth? Harbaugh has stones because he'll tell his players to injure other teams. And Tomlin has stones. He'll tell his players to go out and rip somebody's neck and break their neck. And we have Kevin Princeton Stefanski from the Eating Society, who obviously believes that, oh my goodness, something terrible could happen out there. That's like, So to put it in order, no, refs first, injuries second. Stefanski called a great game until that whole questionable sequence. The last possession and the second to last possession. So let's not get over, embellishing this. The referees stole the game from the Cleveland Browns, and injuries played a major factor in what we could and could not do defensively against this team. And we also made a few errors that you can't make with a wide receiver. I mean, the one play where the big play to Mike Williams. I mean, I don't know what happens. I mean,
yards.
There was nobody on that side of the field, and I'm looking at
safety bid on the crossing route, and
and
so
that was Sean
left
Hill.
out there.
Well, that was one Sean Hill play. The other one where there was nobody on the left side of the field, I don't know what John Johnson III was doing. He was standing on one side of the field.
Green was telling Johnson to go over there and guard him because after the ball was already in the air.
It's like nobody was there. So it was like they were playing the wrong coverage. So again, I don't know exactly what to make of that.
I mean, we're better than the Zendejo defense, but we still have freaking problems back there.
Yeah.
Whenever the pass rush doesn't get there, there's communication problems in the secondary.
Well, you know what the biggest problem is, and happy birthday, Mark. I'm sorry that we can't celebrate it in a more festive way, but happy birthday. The real problem with the defense is that Greedy Williams is never going to be able to play professional football because his body can't hold up to it, and that's too bad. From what I've seen of Jedrick Wills, the same thing is true of him. He has been injured for over half of the games that he's played as a professional, and he's only into the beginning of his second year. The same thing could be said about Conklin, whose knee always goes out on him. The same thing could be said about Treader, who's gutting it out week after week after week. The same thing that I can say about any number of players. Denzel Ward, who misses tons of games. What can I tell you? It's the players are fragile, and that in the end, in a 17-game season, will do its damage as well. And other teams in the league are just not as banged up. So I suppose there are some who are, but not teams that were 3-1 going in, should have been 4-1 coming out, except that the game was stolen from them. But still, the question you ask yourself is, how did I get here? Letting the days go by. Oh, I'm sorry. I get carried away sometimes. Same as it ever was, the referees fixed the game. Same as it ever was.
It's like Bottlegate West.
We didn't see a lot of it, but I think Stefanski's propensity to go for it on fourth down and in the red zone or close to the red zone is starting to get bothersome.
Speak up a little, Tony.
You in a library?
I'm sorry, I was farther back.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we didn't see a lot of it other than the Odell Beckham drop pass. But Stefanski's propensity to go for it on fourth down when you're that far into the other opposing team's territory is kind of worrisome.
Well, no, I mean, we kicked the field goal on the one. I mean, the first one to go up 3-0. I mean, the problem to me isn't going on for it on fourth down. It's going for a first down on 3rd and 10. It's trying to get a first down with the game in the balance. That's the whole thing. It's like everything distills down to that one moment, and that's when you blink. So, Njoku was tripped on the 4-yard line, all right? And I'll try to dig that. If I can somehow get a screen capture on that, I'll try to get a screen capture. But I don't know. The only guy who was running down the field tall enough to outjump the opponents was Njoku, and they dragged him to the ground. And even Baker Mayfield saw that from all the way down the field, and he's like going like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" And I saw him after the call that they made on Sean Hill, the non-existent pass interference. He was just on the sidelines, just shaking his head. He knows what's going down. Welcome to Cleveland. They're going to make a loser out of you. They're going to do that. They're going to take the wind out of your sails, and they're going to make you a loser. That's what the league loves. The NBA loves that too. The NBA loves to take franchises like, the Sacramento Kings or whoever, and just when you thought it couldn't possibly get worse, it's like they just kick you in the nutsack when you're not looking. I mean,
Like
you know,
my team, the Minnesota.
like the Lions. I mean, it's become.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure that
that
The
was
Lions had that game won.
the people in the league have to be saying, "Let's fuck them." God, they suck. They always draft the wrong guy. Let's really fuck them. Even when they're close, let's just not let them win. Maybe their coach will call the wrong way and go with the wind instead of taking the ball again. Marty Morningweg, remember him? That's what the league thinks of the Detroit Lions. And folks, that's what they think of the Cleveland Browns. The trucking guy who stiffs his clients. They may have a better front office, and they may have a better quarterback and a good running game, but it's still that fucking hick who's the trucking guy and who fucked up when he came to Cleveland. We're just going to make sure he continues to lose because that's the way it goes. That's the league. So I don't, and again, Higgins never looked up for the ball. He would have had to have gone up in the air. They were all laying on the ground, it looks like to me, but the guy would have it at an angle on the ball because the ball had so much hang time. Would have been Njoku, but he was dragged down. And we would have been called for that in a heartbeat. And they, so if they would have thrown a 60-yard desperation pass and that we would have done that, they would have given them the ball on the 1-yard line or the 4-yard line or whatever, and they would have found a way to call 3 holding penalties in a row until they got it into the end zone. That's the way it works. Seen it before. I don't know the answer about Jedrick Will's injury history as far as being in college. I don't know that. And I would have to look that up. Fine. Yeah, well, he ain't fine now.
But it could be also, and I know this sounds like an excuse, but him switching sides, the muscles and your muscle memory and all that, that could be a part of it.
Maybe.
Just throwing that idea out there.
We shouldn't be suffering like this. It's all...
We are, though.
But that's what they want because we make a loud noise. We bring fans to the stadium. We make a big noise of complaint, and that's what they want. They want Cleveland to be associated with losing, frustration.
And now we travel well, too.
Yeah, I just... Clint, giving up play calling duties, it ain't going to matter. It ain't going to matter. Do you think Alex Van Pelt is going to be able to overrule Stefanski by throwing that ball on 3rd and 10? No. Stefanski's going to say, we don't want to put it in the air. The ball's not going to be put in the air. It's that simple. I really don't want to think of Aaron Goldhammer ever being right, but if he said that and going for it for 4th and 10 from your own 15, they would have run out all of your timeouts anyway. It wouldn't really make a difference because they weren't trying to score. Actually, the thing that's funny about it, they were praising Eckler for what he had done the play before, but what he did on that play was just bullshit. He just should have fallen on the ground. I don't understand why he stopped and stood and was dancing. He looked like Gene the dancing machine from the Gong Show. He's just standing there, going back and forth like that, and they dragged him into the end zone.
He was trying to get the refs. He was trying to get the refs to call his forward progress stopped.
I know, but it's a brain fart. Yeah. If you go down, the clock keeps running. Hello, McFly. The answer to your question is no, because if they did Bottlegate, they can do anything to Cleveland and have and will continue to. That is the quick answer to that. And anymore, with the way that the NFL is evolving, Fourth, it's a 4-down game.
It is, yeah.
And you're going to get these higher scoring, indoor football league looking scores. And the reason for that is because and the Chargers are going to keep rushing the ball up to the line of scrimmage and catching you in bad formations and pushing and pushing and pushing. And if their receivers don't catch the ball, the referees will throw a flag and say that we held them. So it's a great strategy while it works. But I'll tell you something. When the time comes and the LA Chargers are not the team that the league chooses, their fan base is going to find out when the jig is up. They'll know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out. Fuck the hick. Who's the hick?
Who's the heck?
Probably Jimmy Haslam, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, we don't see him anymore. Although his presence lingers because we're going to be forced to be losers. Yeah, because of it.
They showed the box, and I think he was up there with the who's the other one? JD, JW, WD-40.
Yeah.
He is talking about Haslam, by the way.
The referees have all, although they spell incidental correctly, Heston, they do have more terminology to justify. It's kind of like, the Tom Brady fumble, what do they call that? The fumble that wasn't a fumble? It was
in the grasp.
No. What do they call that? They made up a name for it. It's technically in the rule book. They have all this stuff. It's a lot like United States.
Are you talking about the Tuck rule?
The Tuck rule, yeah.
Tuck
rule. It's just like legislation. It's just like all the legislation that comes through Congress. It's in there. You look at it, and you look at the bills that they pass, and it's paperwork this high.
10,000 pages of fun.
Yeah. Every black person in America is going to remain poor forever. It's right there. It's right there in the legislation if you look for it. So it goes, man. So it goes. It hurts. It's bad, Dwayne, when Colin fucking Cowherd calls it out. Because he hates the goddamn Browns.
It's the end of the world.
I think we should wrap this up. It's just getting more and more depressing.
Yeah, but
Peter Alice play the game.
Yeah.
Pete, you want Peter Alice's play of the game? Well, wait a sec.
Or it could be from any of the games: the Green Bay game, the Lions game. It could be.
Yeah, the Vikings-Lions game. That's got to be fucking allowing a field goal with 34 seconds left after taking.
Oh, there's so much for me to point out. Oh, how can I do this? Where shall I begin? Oh, I would still say, 5 missed field goals in the last 7 minutes of play, or 5 minutes, or 4 minutes of play. Oh, the Bengals are still the Bengals, the NFL says, and I'll do my impression of the NFL. The Bengals and Mike Brown. What a bunch of losers they are.
Notice how the NFL gave the Steelers
Well, the Steelers will be back in it in no time.
Oh, yeah.
You just...
We knew the Steelers were going to win this week, surely.
Well,
go back and listen to the tape from Friday. I knew the Steelers.
Yeah, I actually have to eat a little dinner.
I did know that. Don't call me Shirley.
I appreciate the people following this program, and I just try to tell this like it is, folks, that I feel very badly that it has to come to this. But the Browns played a good game. They played well enough to win. They deserve to win. And the only one who walks out of that stadium tarnished is Kevin Stefanski. And that, for the Browns, that is the truth. It's one thing for a player to bust a coverage, to make a mistake. It can happen. But when you have so much responsibility on your plate and you do something like he did at the end of the game and just chalk it up to not wanting to take chances for things to go wrong, then that's it. That's where I draw the line. And the Browns deserve to win. The coach got what he deserved, and he will continue to get what he deserves. He did the same fucking thing against the Chiefs. He blows leads, and I don't know why he thinks that the defense is going to bail him out of his cowardice. I have no idea. And I don't think anybody from Cleveland.com and their subscription portal, I don't think anybody has the fucking stones to ask a question of him. You know, it's like, are you afraid? Are you coaching scared? You know, you're watching the other coach go for it on 4th down over and over and succeeding, and you have a 3rd and 10 and you don't even try a forward pass? I'm done talking, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Be back again tomorrow. My mind won't be changed, and I might be talking about something altogether different than the game on Monday, because I've said everything I need to say, really. I appreciate all the support on the program, and thank you, Bronk and Brian and Derek and Tony. It's great having you guys along for the ride, and we'll just wait another week and see who's crippled and can't play against the Cardinals, so the Cardinals will look great against us, and we'll have our faces rubbed in the dirt. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and until tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
See you Monday.